So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat and let's talk about a few things. I'm going to be talking about multiple things in this video, so it's going to be like multiple choice. I'm going to be a little bit over there, I'm going to be a little bit over here, I'm going to be a little bit up there, but I'm going to talk in occult terms because everything is occultism, whether we understand it or recognize it or not, even myself. Last night I didn't actually watch it, but last night something happened in my neighborhood that was very, very disturbing to me. And I feel like the DC area is going back in time. For some reason, I feel like they are taking us back to the late 80s and the early 90s. I feel like time is being manipulated. And this is why the reason I say this is because this. Last night I witnessed something. Again, I didn't actually witness it, but something happened in my neighborhood that really was disturbing to me, and it was disturbing to my spirit. To make a long story short, there's a lady that lives in my neighborhood. We are going to call her Rose. Rose is a black woman, of course, and Rose is a woman of a particular age. I believe she is in her mid to late 50s. And Rose is what she is. She's always been nice to me. I don't judge people. People do whatever the fuck they want to do. But Rose likes to trick with men. That's her business. She doesn't bother me, whether I agree with it or not. She doesn't bother me. And I thought she wasn't on drugs anymore, but if it quacks like a duck and looks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. It is what it is. Rose was tricking with a man last night, and this man beat her 2 inches of her life. She was naked with nothing on but a G string, no bra. This man ran her out of her house, and she was running to neighbors' houses asking for help. Now, I did not see this. I did see when the ambulance put her in the I did see when the ambulance took her away, but I did not see when she was beat up and attacked. She was in her home and she was yelling and screaming from reports, begging someone to help her. I don't know what transpired. I don't know what motivated him to put his hands on her, but no man should be beating up on no woman like that under no fucking circumstances. Let me just say that. You can curse, verbal, whatever. But when you put your hands on a woman in that way, that's some fucked up ass shit. He beat that lady 2 inches from her life. 2 inches from her life. Thankfully, the police caught him. And when they caught him, he had crack on him. This is what I want to talk about. DC is up under a curse. And I know it's not just DC, but I'm speaking from personal experience, born and raised here, so I can speak on the energy that's in this town. Black men in DC are very vicious and malicious, and they are very violent towards black women, and they are very violent towards other black people in general. But it seems like there is a trend among black men here lately, and that is that they have really been viciously attacking black women here in the DC area or attacking people who are vulnerable. There was a case a few months ago where this black guy Well, his girlfriend actually encouraged him to do it, but nevertheless, he was the one that acted it out. He was the more aggressive one, or the main aggressor. He beat up an 87-year-old man because the man accidentally bumped into his girlfriend's car, and the girlfriend told him about it. He beat that old man up, and that old man died. That elderly man, he died. I hate to say the word old, but I'm not being politically correct, and I'm not being, disrespectful, but I'm just not thinking clearly because I'm still kind of disturbed about what happened to my neighbor yesterday. But this couple, they beat this old man up out in Maryland, in the local part of DC, which is PG County. They beat him up, and the older gentleman passed away. He was 87 years old. And I'm really beginning to see a trend of violent, vicious, malicious acts committed by black men here in DC. Now, of course, I know it's all over, but I'm only speaking as a Washingtonian, as one of the last remaining original Washingtonians who has not been affected by this energy, this demonic energy that is over DC. You know that song in the beginning of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master? I've seen you before inside of my mind. My heart beats faster with every step. I'm not afraid of you. You haven't gotten me yet. I can't sleep tonight. That's how I feel. It hasn't gotten me yet. But the more and more I look at black men in DC, I do not see, and I don't give a fuck who gets offended. This is spirit. I do not see a human spirit anymore. I see an unhuman, inhumane spirit, and that's a demon. That's a demon. And I'm not talking about higher level demons. I'm talking about low level, animalistic, savage type of demons. Oh, yeah, I said it. I know what people are saying. How could you say something like that? I said it. Because people are afraid to really be unpolitically correct. He beat Rose, which is not her real name, but I'm saying that to protect her identity. He beat her 2 inches from her life. And when they took her out in the ambulance, she did not look all that well. She didn't look all that well. You know, I find it so interesting how, and I don't really want to make this into a conspiracy theory about the government and shit like that, but just really sitting back and just really examining things and just really looking at shit for what it's worth. And again, I'm only speaking from my experience and what I've seen here in the DC area. So I don't want anybody saying, well, it's not like that here. I don't give a fuck what's going on in your area. I'm talking about what's going on in mine. I'm talking about my experiences here in DC as a black person. So I'm not that I don't care, but what you go through in your area, you speak from that, from your experience. I'm not talking about your experience, I'm talking about mine and from what I see. This is not a conspiracy theory, and this isn't about the government per se. But what I've noticed, you hear black men and black people and that fake group Black Lives Matter, which ain't shit, talk about, oh, they're so hard on the black man. Oh, the black man got it so hard. But you know what I find interesting? Just going back over the years, examining the things that I've seen and just really realizing and having realizations. And here's where I'm going to interject with the government right here. The government does everything it possibly can to help ghetto, ratchet, thug, ain't shit ass motherfucking black men. They do everything they possibly can to help those types of people. And they put them in position and in place over people who have more class, integrity, and dignity. Because, see, here's the thing, they think just because some of those niggas may be smart, that automatically means that they can be reformed or that they can be somehow rehabilitated. And maybe a small percentage of them can, but I still don't want nothing to do with them because they carry a spirit with them and they carry a demon with them. And a lot of those types of men are very, very, number one, a lot of them are cult Christian mentality where they follow the Christian doctrine to a T, where they misinterpret scriptures that advocate for abusing black women. That's number one. Number two, they give them job training and they set them up a lot better than they do single mothers. They give these men, these so-called thugs and so-called, ghetto fucking trash, and I don't give a fuck who gets offended. I don't give a fuck anymore. They give these people job training, they give them places to stay, they will give them more benefits than they would even a single woman with children. I've seen them do it. How can a motherfucker that's been in jail, been a felon, how can he get out of jail, get a construction job making $30 an hour? But a person like me who used to apply for jobs when I was a teenager, never had a record, never went through, never beat up anybody or killed anybody, never had a record. But they would be nasty towards me when I would try to apply for jobs. They would treat me very indifferently, and I'm talking about other black people. I ain't talking about no white people. White people would give me jobs when I applied for it. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like me saying that, but the truth is the truth. Yeah, I keep my foot up their ass too, but the truth is the truth. But then I know a dude right now, although he's back in jail, I know a dude right now that murdered a guy in broad daylight. He did it when he was a teenager, but nevertheless, he's still a fucking murderer. Got out of fucking jail he only did maybe 3, 4, 5 years. I don't remember. Maybe he did 8 years. To me, that's still a small amount of time for murder. He got out of jail and immediately ended up getting a fucking job. They rehabilitate these motherfucking criminals and then they get out of jail and still do the same fucking shit. Because guess where that nigga at now? Back in jail for a gun charge. And you mean to tell me that people don't really think that this is by design? So the government pays to rehabilitate these people. The liberal government, give them a chance. They're poor black disenfranchised men. Give them a chance. And you give these motherfuckers a chance and they get out and they kill black women. They kill black children. They kill gay black people. But the most important thing is they kill black women and they kill children. Okay? They kill black women and they kill children and they abuse black women. What type of motherfucking spell working spirit is that at play? Is my fucking question. And that's rhetorical. I don't need an answer because spirit will give it to me. So when I'm thinking about everything that happened to my neighbor Rose, it's really taking me back. It's taking me back to a time when black men were very vicious towards black women in the 80s. Now, this man that beat this woman up, this man that beat her up, I wonder what type of charges they're going to give him because something like this happened to another neighbor of mine not that long ago. And that motherfucker is out of jail. And that's because I believe, and this is just my fucking personal belief, I believe they're using black men as cyborgs to destroy communities and to destroy other people, to destroy other people's peace of mind. They use black men as cyborgs. That is why they will take these thugs, these so called violent criminal thugs, they will take them, they will rehabilitate them. Not really rehabilitate, because to me, there's no way you can rehabilitate a murderer. Same thing with drug addicts and crackheads. They say once they get out of those treatment programs, oh no, we're not going to do drugs anymore. I's learned my lesson. I's ain't going to do it no more. As soon as them motherfuckers get out, male or female, they back on the corner looking for that motherfucking crack. Destroying communities, destroying civilization. And people don't think this is by design. And I know what people are going to say. Well, you got to have compassion. Well, the more compassion that you have, the more and more nothing gets changed. The more compassion that you have, the more and more these people keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you beat up a woman in that way, you beat a woman, I don't care if you're under the influence of drugs or not. If you beat a woman in that way and you are a man, you need to be put under that. That should be an automatic 30 years. Automatic. Automatic. He beat that lady 2 inches from her life. And it just seems like, you always hear people complaining that black men have it so hard, but from where I'm sitting, they don't have it so fucking hard. And I'm speaking in terms of heterosexual black men. No offense, but to me, they don't have it so hard. Them motherfuckers commit crimes and do all types of fucked up shit to black women in the black community, and they get off with no fucking problem most of the time. I was looking at this show called Fear Thy Neighbor. And this black guy named Everett Brown, or Everton Brown, whatever his name was, he lived in the county part of Baltimore. And this dude was fucking crazy. When new people would move into the neighborhood, he would begin a harassing campaign against any new neighbors that moved into the neighborhood that he lived in out there in the county part of Baltimore. He was a black guy. And the people kept complaining against him. They kept saying, listen, this man is harassing me. He's harassing my family. He's threatening my family. He's threatening us. He's intimidating us. And the police wouldn't do a motherfucking thing. Oh, it's his word. It's his word against yours. It's your word against his. He was dating a woman that found that he was just a little too weird for her. And what ended up happening was the woman backed away from him and said, I don't think we're compatible. That motherfucker went over there and busted her windshield out, busted the windows out of her car or a truck. I think she had a truck. He busted the windows out with a brick. She knew it was him, but because there was no proof, there was no proof, they didn't do anything about it. And there were numerous complaints about this man's mental state. He was up and down the street in the neighborhood all hours of the night talking about the police were watching him, that he was a black man being, oppressed by the police and the government and all this other bullshit. And they did nothing. They did nothing. They did nothing. Every time a new neighbor moved into the neighborhood, he was harassing them, threatening them. Well, ultimately, he ended up killing some of those neighbors. And ultimately, that's when they did something about it. They had to end up killing him, the police. He tried to blow up the entire neighborhood with Monte-Carlo, what do they call it? A Monte-Carlo cocktail, whatever you call that shit, when you put gasoline in a bottle and you put a rag in it and you light it. Monte cocktail or something like that. I forgot. He ultimately tried. He blew up his house to get people to come out the house, and he shot his next door neighbors. He shot a family. He shot an entire family that lived next door to him. And then the police shot him. So it took this man killing, it took him killing other people for the police to do something about it. So I don't believe this concept that the police, oh, they's against the black man. No, they're not. Not in some instances, they're not. Not when they're terrorizing other black people, they're not. And the people that he killed were not even black people. They were non-black. And that was still fucked up. That was still fucked up. I don't care if they were non-black or not. It's the point that he was harassing those people, and those people had done nothing to this man. But we're supposed to feel sorry for the poor black man, right? We're supposed to keep feeling sorry for these motherfuckers when they keep terrorizing communities. And excuse me, and then you have these people a lot of times, and black women, don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but sometimes a lot of these men, they will come to you with a smile because that is their representative. I've heard multiple people in my neighborhood say, I thought that guy over there was a nice guy. I just had an older lady tell me not that long ago that one of the neighbors that lives in our neighborhood, a black guy, he's a bitch ass motherfucking nigga. He's gay too, but he's a bitch. He's a bitch ass motherfucker, and I can tell he's a bitch. He went to an 80-some-year-old woman's door and was bamming at her door like the police. She told me, she said, Seer, that man almost gave me a heart attack because he said something that I was doing that was disturbing him or something because they live near each other. And there was something she was doing that he didn't like, but it wasn't her. He was accusing her of something else, of something she didn't do. Excuse me. So she had to get the police involved. And then that's when his bitch ass came over there and apologized to her. Number one, he shouldn't have been knocking at her door like that anyway. There are certain people that you can read for filth, and there are certain people that you don't. That lady is she's in her advanced age. I don't know how old I'm gonna call her Miss Mary. I don't know how old Miss Mary is, but I do believe she's in her 80s. And this man was knocking at her door like a maniac one night saying that she did something. I forgot what she told me. But it wasn't her, it was another neighbor. And this woman is not on drugs. She's a retired woman who worked all of her life, and this motherfucking bum, he's a fucking bum who only got that fucking house because his mother left it to him. He's a fucking bum. But we supposed to feel sorry for the poor black man, right? I know another story that took place in my neighborhood. This woman, and we're going to call her Cheryl, she was messing with a guy. Her and this guy, they had their own place together. His name was, let's just say, I'm going to call him Paris. We're going to call him Paris. Paris and Cheryl did not get along, even though they were in a relationship. Their relationship was very volatile. So one night, Paris and Cheryl got into it. And they have had a history of getting into it because Paris was messing with women next door to her in the neighborhood and doing all types of shit, right? And he had a problem with putting hands on her. And this time he put hands on her the wrong fucking way. And she stabbed that motherfucking bastard. She stabbed him 2 inches from his life because he put his hands on her. Some women are not going to let you put your fucking hands on them. That is why I don't put my hands on women. I may cuss them out if they get me wrong, depending on who it is. But to try to beat a woman 2 inches from her life, nah. I'll beat a nigga that way. I'll put my hands on niggas, whether they like it or not. I'll put my hands on them, no problem. But he put his hands on her, right? She stabbed that motherfucker 2 inches from his life. He was in the hospital for about a month almost. But guess what ended up happening? She ended up getting arrested and evicted because of that and barred from this neighborhood. But he can still come around here, even though he was the motherfucking aggressor. But the way the law is set up, they set it up. The law is set up so fucked up that they allow people like him to do the shit that they do and get away with it. Because the way that they look at it is that she escalated it by pulling a knife on him and stabbing him. But no, 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 no. He was the one that put his hands on her first, from what I understand. I wasn't out there, but from what I understand, he put his hands on her first. But here come the fucking law. She loses her place because of him, somebody that she brought with her. That was her place, not his. His name wasn't on anything. She helped him, brought him in her home, and then he was fucking motherfucking bitches all around the fucking neighborhood. Excuse my language. And then when they get into a disagreement, she stabs him because he puts his hands on her, and then she loses her place. She loses and then gets barred from the neighborhood. But he's still coming into the neighborhood. He's still coming into the neighborhood, fucking other women, but she can't. And then on top of that, now the motherfucker, Paris, now he moved to Florida and he's with a white girl now. And we're supposed to keep putting up with this shit, and we're supposed to keep having compassion for this type of toxic, demonic motherfucking energy. And then people wonder why I say DC is cursed. DC has a curse over it. And the curse is walking and alive and vibrant in most of the black men. And black women too, but mainly the black men. And it shows up in black men as violence. It shows up in them as violence, aggression. Men are supposed to be naturally aggressive when defending their children, when defending their women, and defending their communities for those men who have that type of energy. But all men are not built differently. Some of us are more aggressive with our minds versus our fist. But black men have become bullies. And I'm not using no motherfucking cliches, not all black men. If you think I'm talking about you, nigga, then I'm fucking talking about you. Let me go back around for a minute. Let me go back in time. So when this lady said that this man was bamming at her door, everybody used to say that this man was such a nice man. Remember the story I told you earlier about the elderly woman who said some man was bamming at her door, one of her neighbors? Everybody, including her, everybody used to say he was such a nice guy. But I keep telling, and don't take this the wrong way, I keep telling black women, a lot of these dudes, they are not nice men. They put up a pretense to get something out of you. Same as with this guy, Paris. Everybody thought he was a nice guy, but he was stealing people's packages off their fucking porch. A lot of these men are not nice. That's their representative to pull you in so they can start borrowing money from you. They watch you. See, this is what these type of niggas do. They watch you and they study you. And if they think that they can bully you or intimidate you, they're going to do it. That is why they have such an issue with strong black women. And when I say strong black women, let me be clear. I'm not talking about psychotic psychopaths who think they're strong. I'm talking about real strong black women who take care of their families without the help of anyone, who can defend their families if need be if a man is not around, who have respect for other women. Now, what I find fucking interesting about the people in my neighborhood, and I'm talking about the people in my neighborhood, the black women in my neighborhood, they sit up and they will go against other black women and tear down other black women. They'll come together, just like recently, this lady in my neighborhood, she had the security, the concierge, however you say it, fired because she said the girl wasn't friendly. No, the girl was doing her fucking job. And it wasn't her job to be fucking friendly. It was her job to make sure we were safe. And she got the girl fired. Not only did she get her fired and barred from this neighborhood, she got her fired from the security company. And when I really look at that, I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're supposed to be part of the association or whatever the case may be, but you were never this vocal about these black abusive men that was in this community. You weren't that vocal about them, but you went out of your way to get that young girl fired simply because she was telling you, don't try to tell her how to do her job. She was telling you, don't tell me how to do my job. She wasn't disrespectful about it. There was a situation where somebody was coming in and the security was like, nah, I got this, boo. And then because she said that, she had that girl fired. Maybe the guard was not the friendliest person, but if you didn't give her a reason to say anything to you, that young woman minded her fucking business. She minded her fucking business. But this lady that I'm referring to, that's part of the association, she got her fired. And you weren't this passionate and motivated when these men were in here doing things to tear down our community. You weren't that passionate and motivated then. You weren't writing letters then. But you did write but you'll write it against another black woman. I find that interesting. I find it interesting how this society allows black men, and I'm talking about these thug, violent, ghetto ratchet black men, they have put them in a position that they don't fucking deserve to be in. I don't give a fuck how smart they are. You can be smart and still be stupid. Because intelligence that is not guided by wisdom is dangerous. Let me say that again. Intelligence that's not guided by wisdom is fucking dangerous. And they give these thugs and these criminal type of black men, they give them whatever they want. And then they disperse them out into society thinking that they have been rehabilitated or knowing that they really have not, causing havoc for communities and other people who live in communities who just want to live in peace, who just want to live in harmony. But these niggas come into these communities with their diseased mind and bodies, and all they want to do is destroy. That's a curse. That's a demon. So that man that beat up Miss Rose, no matter what she was doing, she does it to herself. She doesn't bother anybody. She keeps to herself. So that man that beat her up last night, he's one of those types of black men. And this is a pattern in DC. Black men in DC are very violent, they're very volatile, and they are very disease-minded, and they are very demonic in nature. And I'm not being mediocre when I say that. They are very demonic in nature. And of course, I know it's not just in DC. You can add Atlanta to the list. You can add different places around the United States, but DC, Atlanta, yeah, they're very demonic, and very detached from their real spirit. And that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing. And they're harming black women. They are harming black women. And some people may say, well, black women put themselves in that in that predicament. Maybe so. Maybe so. Okay, maybe so. But at the end of the fucking day, at the end of the day, there's a lot of blame to go around. And all roads lead back to black men. All roads lead back to them. Because sometimes black women don't really know, probably what's going on with these motherfucking psychopaths. They don't really know what's going on with these sociopathic, disease-minded types of men. And let me just say this. No, I ain't talking about all, brothers. I ain't talking about all brothers. I'm talking about the ones I'm thinking about that I mentioned in my mind. Just like the motherfucker that I told you that attacked that elderly white woman in my neighborhood, that motherfucker is still walking around this motherfucking neighborhood. And she was a white woman he did that to. So there is a lack of care for women in general. Because if that motherfucker did that to a white gay man, he would be put under the fucking jail. But this culture does not value women. I hate to tell y'all. I hate to say this to y'all. But let me tell you, the charade is over. They don't give a fuck about white women. They don't give a fuck about black women. They don't give a fuck about women in general. They don't give a fuck. They don't. The only people that they give a fuck about are these psychotic black men and white men and other types of men as well, who can further their fucking agendas. They get them niggas right out of motherfucking prison. They'll clean them up and say, hey, listen, we want to put you in this, behavioral modification program. We know that, you got a high IQ. And just because you have a high IQ does not mean that you are superior. It simply just means that it's easier to make you into a slave. It's easier for you to assimilate. Because you have to have the wisdom as well as the IQ. You have to have both. And black men used to have both. But because black men want to be white women, they're losing. They're losing. They're losing. They'll put them in those behavioral modification programs and tell them, oh, you can be back out on the street within 30 days if you agree to go through this behavioral modification shit. And a lot of these niggas are violent fucking criminals. They got them working in construction. They got them working in high seats of government. And then people wonder why the world and the government and everything is moving in a hood gangster type of way, because that is who they hire. They hire ghetto ratchet people. They hire those types of people. All that bullshit about, oh, felons can't get no motherfucking job. They tell us that motherfucking bullshit. They give them niggas motherfucking jobs. They give it to them. Of course they do. And these are the same niggas that beat up people like Miss Rose. A lot of them motherfucking niggas on them government jobs are crackheads. Let's talk about it. And I don't give a fuck who gets offended by it. I've known plenty of functioning crackheads on government jobs and functioning substance abusers on government jobs. But that is who they cater to. They don't want intelligent, non-substance abusers They don't want those types of people on these government jobs. They don't want those types of people to have a power position in society, because we would be speaking too real and we would be speaking too fucking right. They don't want us in those types of positions. They want you to be on crack. They want you to be weeded out. They want you to be drunks. And I'm not talking about sipping some wine or anything like that. Let me be clear. They want you to be detached from your motherfucking mind. That's how those energies get inside of you. But they think that shit is normal because it's been going on for so long. They think it's okay. They think it's absolutely okay. So I was absolutely mortified last night seeing that. He beat that lady 2 inches from her life. And she does not have children that she talks to. She has children, but I don't think they're on good terms. But I tell you one motherfucking thing. If that was my motherfucking mother that he did that to, there would be no jail. There would be no police officer. I want you to listen to me. I want all of y'all to listen to me very carefully. If that was my mother that happened to, that a man did that to, there would be no jail. There would be no hell. There would be no heaven. There would be no FBI agent. There'd be no CIA agent or whatever you call them niggas. CIA agents. There would be no national security. There would be nothing that would stop me from getting to that motherfucking nigga. Me and my brother. And the rest of the men in my motherfucking family. There would be nothing stopping me from getting to him. Or anyone that would brutalize my mother in that way. And I don't care nothing about no motherfucking jail. I would just go happily. And if it meant my motherfucking death, so be it. Because I'm gonna take that motherfucking nigga with me. I promise you that much. And that's real fucking talk. That's real talk. But see, I'm cut from a different cloth than most gay men. I'm not going to talk it out with you. Because when I get angry, and I'm talking about when I really get angry, I'm not talking about cussing people out on here. And no. When I really, really, really get angry, I go to a place that it would take Christ himself to bring me back from. I would have to call on Jesus because I would morph into my Pazuzu personality. And you know Pazuzu, that demon, he takes out every motherfucking thing he sees. No questions asked. The only thing that would be safe are babies. Because Pazuzu has a soft spot for babies, and I do too. I do too. You know, I have a soft spot for babies. Would never harm no babies. But anything else that gets in my motherfucking way, preventing me from getting to my target, it would be like a typhoon they had never seen before. But her sons, they're even abusive towards her from what I understand. From what I understand, they're even abusive towards her. One of her sons, from what I understand, smacked her all up in the face. What is happening to black men in DC? Now, I know me and my mother have had differences, but I ain't never put my hands on my mother. Me and my mother have argued, we've cussed, but I ain't never put my hands on my mother. And nor would I ever do it. Sometimes she makes me so fucking mad that I want to wring her damn neck. You know, not literally, but you know how it goes. But I would never put my hands on my mother. Ever. So this is all part of the curse of DC. And I used to tell people, even when I was a teenager, go in high school, I used to tell people DC has a curse on it. And people would just say, oh no, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. You just don't get along with people. No, it's not that I don't get along with people. People don't get along with me because I won't go along with their bullshit. I won't go along with their bullshit. That is why I don't get along with people, because people get mad because I have a voice. And I'm not going to allow no nigga or anyone to put a gag on my fucking voice. No, no. And neither should you. Neither should you. Now, I'm hoping that they prove me wrong. And I'm hoping that her sons, who I understand, Miss Rose's sons, I understand they're from the streets. I'm hoping that her sons, no matter what differences they have with their mother, I'm hoping they will, if they let, well, the guy's locked up allegedly, but if that motherfucker gets out, he should walk no more. But see, black men used to do shit like that. Black men used to make sure that black women were safe. They used to make sure of that. They used to. The reason that motherfucking nigga got away with that is because he knew he could. He knew he could. If some nigga did that to my mother, me and my brother and the other men in my and the other men in my family, no matter what differences we may have, we would go after that motherfucking nigga. No problem. And if they didn't want to go, then it would be me and my brother. If my brother didn't want to go, then it would just be me. And let me tell you something, they ain't ready for that. Don't let the sweet voice fool you. They ain't ready for that. I had to check somebody a couple of weeks ago about my mother. One of her girlfriends. I cussed her motherfucking ass out. And the reason that I cussed her out was because she made a threat that somebody was going to harm my mother if my mother went to a particular location. I cussed that woman out. And I told her, if anybody harms my mother, they're going to be opening up a nightmare in their life and afterlife that they will never be able to wake up from. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. And I think that every son should be that way for his black mother. It doesn't matter who it is. And the only reason I cussed that lady out was because she made a threat that some people were, and I didn't know who the people were. And this woman has a history of getting men involved in her conflicts. So in my mind, I'm thinking she done got some men to come after my mother. So that's why I was mad. Just so you all know. Just so you know. And I've talked about her before in videos. Black men in DC are walking in a curse. They look cursed. They talk cursed. They smell cursed. And weed is not going to take your problems away, black men. You can smoke all the weed you want. Them demons going to still be there, nigga. They going to still be there. You don't have an angel and a demon on your shoulder. You just got demons on your shoulder now. There's no balance. You got the demon of poverty. You got the demon of despair. You got the demon of lunacy. You got the demon of violence. You got the demon of self-destruction all on you. You do. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I just had to get that, off my chest, and just expound upon my experiences, you know. But black men in DC are cursed. And anybody that lives in the DC area, you know what I'm talking about. They are cursed. They are fucking cursed. That's why I don't fuck with them. I don't speak to them. I don't deal with them. And not because I think white men are superior. It's just that I don't think that black men are these particular black men. Oh, forget it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't fuck with them. I don't fuck with them. They bad. Black men have, in the DC have become bad juju. And it's not just DC. Like I said, it's not just DC. It's not just DC. But I'm speaking as a representative from this part of the world. And I'm speaking realistically. People can live in the shadows and people can live, in illusions and think this is that and that is this. But no, 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 no. I know what I know and I see what I see. And DC is cursed. The black men in DC are cursed. Black people in general are walking in a curse in DC. But it's mainly manifesting through black men in a horrible way. And it's manifesting through their violence against black women in DC. And smoking weed is not going to get you through it. Fucking is not going to get you through it. Going to clubs is not going to get you through it. Money is not going to get you through it. Drinking is not going to get you through it. Anyway, this is the occult view. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.